On their way to raid a dungeon, the party leader Sira pauses and tells the protagonist Kuga that they have come a long way. Kuga then asks why he is being so formal when they still have one final challenge ahead. Sira replies that although he is grateful for Kuga's help, he believes it is best to part ways here. This shocks Kuga, who asks Sira if he is really going through with this. He pleads for at least an explanation, considering they have known each other since their student days. Sira responds by saying that Kuga is a jack of all trades and master of none. Because of this, he believes that letting him go is the best decision for the entire party. While Kuga is still reeling from this, Sira adds that he will have to enter the hidden room alone. As Kuga stands confused by the statement, Sira tells him to consider it a farewell gift. Hearing this, Kuga realizes what Sira is implying and begins to believe this marks the end of his life as a dungeon explorer. Then a party member named Makari calls out to Sira from behind, asking if he isn't being too extreme. Sira replies that it has to be done even if it means using force. Kuga then tells Makari that it's okay and thanks her for her concern. He then walks past Sira and approaches the hidden room, asking if this is the farewell gift he mentioned. Since that's the case, he declares that he will gladly accept it and opens the door. Upon entering, the exit vanishes behind him and he sees a girl inside the room. The girl appears to be a vampire and menacingly asks what this is. Noticing him alone, she questions whether he plans to face her by himself. Before continuing, it's important to understand the world in which this takes place. 50 years ago, dungeons suddenly began appearing on Earth. Within them, magic and monsters were confirmed to exist, ushering in entirely new professions. Among the discovered magics is revival magic, which can only be used once. Its popularity spreads like wildfire because it allows for automatic resurrection. As a result, dungeon exploration and live streaming those adventures becomes immensely popular. With this rise, something else is discovered, the hidden room of no return. It earns this title because historically not a single person has ever come back from it. Everyone who entered used up their resurrection magic and could never re-enter a dungeon again. Now, having entered it himself, Kuga believes that the vampire girl before him is the monster responsible for the room's deadly reputation. Returning to their encounter, as Kuga remains silent, the vampire asks if he was banished. Kuga confirms that he was. Learning this, the vampire bursts into laughter, saying she suspected as much. Still, she finds it surprising that he remains so calm despite his situation. Kuga replies that he always expected something like this to happen eventually and even believes it may have been for the best. Hearing this, the vampire nods in understanding and says she's glad he came. Kuga looks confused, so the vampire explains that she was simply very bored. Without warning, she hurls a barrage of stone projectiles at him. Kuga immediately activates his skill and blocks the attack with his sword. Suddenly, the vampire appears behind him and comments that he's rather rough with his blade. She then launches another assault, which Kuga narrowly manages to block by quickly turning around. The vampire is impressed that he manages to defend against her strike again. Judging by her speed, Kuga realizes her special skill must be teleportation. Understanding this, he decides it's time to go on the offensive. He suddenly begins attacking her with swift, precise strikes, catching her off guard. As she backs away, he instantly closes the distance between them and attacks again. She barely manages to parry the blow, then retaliates quickly with a strike from her wings. Unable to block it in time, he takes damage but heals himself effortlessly. As he prepares to attack again, the vampire stares at him in shock. Observing his use of healing magic, she questions whether he is a jack of all trades. Caught off guard by her insight, Kuga hesitantly confirms, though he clearly dislikes the label. He was misled by the job title hero, which allows for proficiency in swordsmanship, both offensive and defensive magic, support spells, and even healing. Like a true jack of all trades, a hero can perform well in every area with high overall stats, but never reaches mastery in any one field. This becomes a critical flaw in a dungeon where the barrier limits the party size to just 4 members. Because of this limitation, it's strongly recommended to build a party composed of specialists in distinct roles to maximize each member's strengths. Following this strategy, his former party included Sira, who specialized in physical attacks, Yulia, who focused on magic, and Makari, who excelled in support magic. With no dedicated healer among them, Kuga took on the role himself to balance the team. But fighting the vampire awakens something in him, something he's never felt before, a sense of freedom that comes from fighting without the constant pressure of keeping everyone else alive. The vampire suddenly calls out to him, saying there's something she has been meaning to ask. She points to a floating object and asks what it is. He tells her it's a streaming drone. Unfamiliar with the term, she wonders aloud if it has anything to do with his supposed betrayal, but he assures her it does not. Her curiosity halts the battle entirely, and he finds himself genuinely wondering if he's really about to explain live streaming to a vampire. He tells her the drone records video and streams it live to an audience who can leave comments in real time. Since she has stopped attacking completely, he continues explaining, and she listens with great interest. After absorbing all this, she asks if their entire fight has been watched through the drone. Kuga nods and adds that the drone was a parting gift from his former party before they left him. Hearing this, the vampire remarks that it sounds kind of sad. She then steps closer, thanks him, and while he is still confused, smiles brightly, saying he's the first person to ever take the time to explain things to her so kindly. Setting that aside, she asks what the viewers are saying in the comments right now. Because she seems genuinely curious, Kuga opens the dashboard. The first comment says the vampire is cute. Hearing this, she is taken aback and immediately starts blushing. Deciding to look for herself, she sees that nearly all the comments are calling her cute. Kuga confirms this, telling her that most of the viewers are focused on her looks. Her face turns even redder as she mutters how insolent they are. She then asks if all humans are like this, and Kuga wonders the same. Still, he believes most comments are just people being honest, which flusters her even more. After a moment, she asks if he would mind her saying something a little strange. Seeing that he's listening, she shyly asks if he could teach her how to stream. Kuga stares at her in shock and asks what she means. She replies that she means exactly what she said. She has become interested in streaming and wants him to teach her more about it. Toru responds that while he understands, he asks whether, as the dungeon boss, she is even able to leave this room. She confirms that she can and explains that she usually gets notified when an invader appears. After getting ready, she teleports in a hurry, just like earlier when she was enjoying a nice nap but was rudely awakened and had to rush over. With this explanation, she asks if he now understands that she can indeed leave the room. With that, she moves closer to him and suggests that they start streaming together. After saying this, her attention shifts slightly as she begins talking about his blood, but she quickly backs away and clarifies that she only suggests it because he seems like the perfect partner. Kuga listens to her with an awkward smile, wondering how things have escalated to this point. She literally jumped from wanting to learn how to stream to wanting to stream together. Now that he thinks about it, his biggest problem in life is losing his sense of purpose. Back when he was a student, he and his friends started streaming and exploring dungeons just for fun. During that time, all he did was fight and protect everyone. Since he could never say anything interesting during the streams, he was never able to step into the spotlight. This was one of the reasons he accepted Sira's parting gift. He didn't really care if his dungeon life ends here. He was simply that lost in despair. But then he meets this strange vampire girl. Right now, if asked, he would be lying if he said that he isn't intrigued. Even so, he decides to accept her offer. Upon hearing this, the vampire's face lights up with happiness as she hugs him. And so, what begins as a typical banishment story somehow gives rise to a never-before-seen duo. Kuga then asks her if there's anything in particular she'd like to stream. The vampire girl replies, Alicia, which confuses Kuga. She clarifies that it's her name. Learning this, he asks who gave her that name. She replies that she doesn't know. She only knows that she is Alicia from the moment she became aware of her existence. Kuga understands her situation and decides not to pry further. He introduces himself as Kuga, a 24-year-old. As Alicia comments that it's a cool name, he again asks if there's anything specific she would like to stream. She replies by explaining that she's had so much free time lately that it suddenly hits her. What if she becomes the one on top of everyone? Kuga, confused by her statement, asks what she's talking about. She responds saying that she's talking about becoming the super strong monster known as the final boss and has decided to try becoming one. Kuga is taken aback by her declaration and after a brief pause, asks how she plans to achieve that. She explains that the first step to becoming a final boss is to become an SS rank boss. She then takes out a piece of paper detailing all the requirements to achieve SS rank and hands it to him. According to the paper, she must defeat 30 invaders, an A rank party and an S rank party. She must also make an S rank boss submit to her, create a boss castle lair and free up an SS rank boss slot. Kuga finds the list surprisingly well thought out, but he focuses on a few particular points and asks if defeating dungeon explorers is truly necessary. When Alicia replies that it is, Kuga falls silent. Seeing this, she realizes she got too excited and hasn't thought it through. Kuga would never want to go against his own kind. However, he calmly replies that he doesn't really mind. This surprises Alicia, while Kuga continues, explaining that there is no rule prohibiting explorers from fighting each other. All dungeon explorers are required to have an auto-revival spell called Relive cast on them. Without it, they cannot enter the dungeon. The Relive magic ensures that if an explorer dies inside the dungeon, their body is transported outside and revived. Since the spell only works once in a lifetime, no one can enter the dungeon again after dying once. Because they possess this extra life, they are granted a certain level of freedom, under their own responsibility. Fighting among themselves falls under that freedom. In fact, Kuga mentions that some streamers focus their entire content around fights between explorers. He also notes that there are currently 4 S-rank parties, with the most prominent one being called the Duelist. Alicia is fairly surprised to learn all this. Since one of the requirements to progress is to defeat an S-rank party, she asks him to confirm if there are indeed only 4. When Kuga replies affirmatively, she then asks about his own rank. He responds that he was formerly part of an S-rank party. Hearing this, Alicia nods and says she understands. She then asks if that means there are people ranked above him, which he confirms. Setting that topic aside, he asks whether she has a rank since, as far as he knows, she is not listed among the S-rank bosses. Alicia replies that she doesn't. Upon learning this, he asks if that's because she is a hidden boss. She responds that while she isn't sure, she finds the idea of starting from zero quite exciting. With that, she decides on the purpose of their channel: to stream her journey as a rankless boss on the path to becoming the final boss, like a documentary. Through this, she plans to instill fear in humans and discourage them from indulging in tasteless trends like dungeon streaming. Although Kuga agrees with her, he feels deeply troubled, wondering what his role is supposed to be in all of this. A few hours later, they begin their stream, with Alicia waving at the drone and asking viewers if they can see her. The viewers quickly start typing responses. Some are surprised by her cuteness, while others are shocked, questioning if this is real. Alicia is surprised to see the comments pouring in so quickly. Now that they have, she decides it's time to begin their noteworthy stream. On the other hand, Kuga is stunned by the flood of comments. The viewer count is remarkably high for a first stream. Alicia turns to him and asks if this isn't a great start. Kuga agrees, though his tone is awkward, as this marks the first time in history that a dungeon monster has done something so unconventional. The early popularity of the stream is largely due to word spreading like wildfire about a banished hero and a dungeon monster teaming up, which brings them far more attention than expected. Alicia then calls for the chat's attention and declares that for their first stream, they will be hunting explorers. As she continues talking, Kuga is left in disbelief, wondering what exactly he has gotten himself into, while the chat appears thoroughly confused. Moments later, Alicia spots some explorers and informs Kuga, who remains unsure of how to feel about the situation. With a smug expression, Alicia remarks that the explorers have arrived without a second thought. Among the adventurers is one man named Kenzu, who expresses his joy at finally making it this far. He finds it nostalgic to see all of them, high school clubmates, reaching this place after so long. Then a girl from his party named Akina tries to say something and expresses that she especially wanted to be in the same party as him. As he asks what she means by this, their party is suddenly attacked and 2 of his friends are instantly eliminated. Caught completely off guard and shocked, the 2 of them quickly turn to look, but they too are attacked. The attacker, who is Alicia, then walks into view while Kenzu and Akina, now fatally injured, call out to each other on the verge of death. Devastated, Kenzu wonders why things have to end up like this. Everything was going so smoothly for them. Today they were hunting monsters as usual without any issues. Not only that, even though they have faced near-death situations before, they always somehow managed to pull through, so there is no way they were being overconfident for something like this to happen. As he calls out to Akina, he wishes he could reach out to her in their final moment. She also reaches out her hand, calling his name, but suddenly something happens. It turns out Akina is swiftly killed by Alicia. Alicia bursts into laughter, thanking them for their hard work, while Kenzu screams out in agony. He then asks her and Kuga what the hell they are doing, to which Alicia bluntly replies that they are just hunting humans. Hearing this, Kenzu is stunned and enraged, asking her if she is joking. Alicia remarks that she struggles to understand why he is so outraged when he does the same thing on a regular basis. As Kenzu is confused, Alicia asks him why he does dungeon streaming. When he doesn't respond, she questions whether it's for money or recognition, which only agitates him further. Alicia then says she understands his feelings, but points out that they are risking their lives for his little hobbies. She then mockingly tells him to be grateful, which enrages him further as he curses her, just before his head is sent flying. As their bodies vanish due to the process of reliving magic, she sarcastically asks if that guy was trying to say something. Kuga, who silently watched the whole event unfold, is surprised that she really went all out with this one. But more importantly, a B-class party of young explorers being ruthlessly slaughtered should never have happened, because Alicia, a vampire, shouldn't even be casually roaming around this floor with such a level of strength, so it is all a complete accident. As he sympathizes with those poor explorers, Alicia asks if the stream is getting decent viewership. Kuga replies that it is, prompting her to smirk and say that it's good. After that, she suddenly asks the chat what they think. Are humans horrified yet? And indeed they are. Viewers flood the chat, condemning her for killing the explorers, calling her awful, disgusting, and a monster. This is exactly what she wanted, and she is very satisfied. But as she continues, saying that maybe now they have learned their lesson, more comments begin flooding in, but this time the reactions are very different. For example, one viewer writes that those guys were experimenting on monsters, like cutting a slime to see how long it takes to regenerate. They believe Kenzu and his group's actions were messed up from the start and decide to stick with Alicia's stream. Since this isn't the reaction she expects, Alicia tries to clarify that monsters are mean and scary, so doing those things to them shouldn't matter. But then another chatter comments, thanking her, saying they feel like something inside them has awakened. Shocked and completely defeated, she turns to Kuga and asks him if humans are monsters too. Also shocked, Kuga replies that maybe they are, but Alicia disagrees and asks whether humans are really worse than monsters. This leaves Kuga speechless as he cannot deny it and feels deeply troubled. He believes that with the unpredictability of human thoughts, Alicia's plans are bound to go completely off track. A few moments later, Alicia tells Kuga to take her hand, to which he hesitantly agrees. Noticing his hesitation, she asks what's wrong and if he's embarrassed or something, to which he replies that he is, just a little. Upon learning this, Alicia comments that he's surprisingly shy and Kuga is unable to deny it. She then holds his hand, uses warp magic to teleport to the city of monsters, and asks what he thinks. She explains that just as the name implies, only monsters are allowed to enter this city. Since they are still live, the viewers also get to see the city and are amazed that it actually exists. They think the city has a nice vibe and find the little monsters very cute. As the comments continue flooding in, Alicia nods in agreement with them. She then mentions that Kuga is probably the first human to ever set foot in the monster tower. Hearing this, he asks her if she's certain it's okay. Alicia replies that it'll be fine as there's no official ban or anything like that. Although Kuga agrees, he still feels unsure, reminding her again that he's human and asking if it's really okay. She reassures him once more, saying it's fine because he's her, then stops mid-sentence. Now that she thinks about it, she wonders what exactly he is to her, but she decides not to dwell on it too deeply and settles on calling him her special other for now. Kuga accepts it, and just like that, he casually becomes Alicia's special other. Setting aside the fact that he's even here, he asks if they can really stream in this place. Since no one is stopping them, Alicia assumes it should be fine. The viewers are surprised by how carefree she is and comment that this is the first time anyone has ever streamed in Monster City. Not only that, because of this stream, they now know the city exists and get to witness such interesting things firsthand. Setting that aside, Alicia's main goal now is to become the final boss. But she also has another goal: to instill fear in humans and stop them from doing things like dungeon streaming and raiding. However, now that he thinks about it, Kuga believes that if humans realize monsters have lives of their own, quite a few might change their perspective. He wonders if Alicia had planned that far ahead, since her goal to instill fear might not work as intended. Alicia then suggests they head to the place where she's staying. Kuga agrees, but as he walks, he notices the monsters are staring at him, making him nervous. Just then, someone calls out to Alicia, addressing her as Vampire-chan, and upon seeing the person, Kuga is shocked. It's a giant minotaur. The viewers are equally shocked as it appears out of nowhere and is also an S-rank boss. Alicia addresses the minotaur as Minochan and asks how she's doing. Seeing this interaction, Kuga calms down and the viewers also assume they must be friendly. Alicia then introduces Minochan as her friend and introduces Kuga to her as her special other. Mino bows slightly, saying it's a pleasure to meet him, and introduces herself as Minotaurus. Surprised, Kuga thanks her for such a polite introduction. Mino then turns to Alicia and points out that bringing a human here might not be a good idea. When Alicia asks why, Mino nervously tries to explain that it's just common sense and urges her to think about it. Setting that aside, Kuga is surprised by Mino's voice and finds it really cute. Mino then turns to him and apologizes before saying that he is quite something himself. She says this because he has the guts to barge into a city full of monsters out of the blue like this. Taken aback, since this is somewhat true, he also apologizes. The viewers seem to agree with her, though some find it strange that the cowgirl is starting to look kind of cute to them. Setting that aside, Kuga also has doubts about whether it's okay for a human to enter a monster city. However, there are two reasons that leave him with no choice but to come here. The first reason is that Alicia slaughtered a promising B-rank party, making it quite risky for him to return to human society. The second reason is that Alicia cannot leave the dungeon. Though he does consider acting separately from Alicia, they have no means of communication. He also considers meeting up at intervals, but if something were to go wrong, they might never see each other again, so he decides against it. Alicia then bursts into laughter while reading the comments, as one viewer says Kuga hasn't been right in the head ever since he left Kumazemi, and another claims he is unhinged. She tells him to take a look because the viewers are talking about him. Setting that aside, Alicia asks him what Kumazemi means, to which he replies that it's the name of his former party. Returning to the subject of bringing him here, Alicia declares that even though Kuga is human, he is her special other, so she won't let anyone lay a hand on him. Confused, Mino asks her what she means by special other, and the viewers agree, believing she's the only one with a functioning brain. Later, after ending the stream, they head toward Alicia's place. On the way, she suggests stopping by somewhere for a bit, to which he agrees. They then stop in front of a fruit stall where she asks him what he would like. He replies, saying apples would be fine. Hearing this, she picks up an apple from the stall and says she also likes apples, especially the green ones. She then asks the vendor how much it is for two, and he replies that it's 500 yen, which shocks Kuga. When Alicia asks if something is wrong, he replies that it's nothing and wonders if he misheard. Alicia then gives the vendor a 1,000 yen note and receives 500 yen in change. Seeing this, Kuga is shocked again, and this time the vendor asks if he's sure everything is okay. Kuga replies, expressing his surprise at learning they use the same currency as humans. Hearing this, Alicia asks if it's really that surprising, to which he replies that it is. Considering that the dungeon in Japan uses yen as its currency, he wonders if dungeons in other countries use those countries' currencies as well. Here are a total of 9 countries worldwide confirmed to have dungeons: Japan, America, China, Thailand, UAE, France, Egypt, Brazil, and Australia. Each of these 9 countries has one dungeon. The entrance to Japan's dungeon is located in Akira. Since East Asia already has China and South Asia has Thailand, Japan's dungeon has become somewhat isolated. As a result, the majority of dungeon explorers here are Japanese. Returning to the topic of currency, Kuga asks Alicia how they get their money. She replies that they receive a fixed amount every day, which Kuga finds similar to a basic income. Hearing this, Alicia asks what's going on, but he brushes it off and says it's nothing. Since they use the same currency, he wants to pay for the apple. However, Alicia tells him to stop being so modest and let her treat him for today, which he accepts. Later, they arrive at her house where she tells him to make himself at home and takes the robe from him. This is the place where Alicia is letting him stay. According to her, it is just a temporary residence until she can construct her actual castle. At first, he considers staying at an inn since some were available, but he cannot, as Alicia, with her complete lack of caution, casually invites a man into her home. When dinner time arrives, she chooses, of all things, a single green apple. Seeing this, Kuga trembles in shock at the state of her living conditions while she appears confused. While Alicia goes to take a bath, Kuga pulls out a quick meal pack from his bag and begins eating. A few moments later, when it is time to sleep, another problem arises. When Kuga asks if something is wrong, she replies that there is only one bed. This catches Kuga off guard while Alicia continues, admitting she completely overlooked the fact that there's only one bed. She then begins brainstorming what to do, and when the image of sharing a bed with him enters her mind, her face turns bright red. She finds the idea completely unheard of, while Kuga misunderstands and thinks to himself that they have already done several unheard of things today alone. Setting that aside, Alicia cannot decide what to do. After all, she is the one who invited him and cannot bring herself to make him sleep on the floor. Just as she decides to sleep on the floor instead, Kuga tells her it's fine, he brought a sleeping bag. He sets it up and lies down, leaving Alicia pouting as she blushes. A few moments later, in the middle of the night, Kuga is sound asleep while Alicia sits beside him, staring at him and licking her lips. She then climbs on top of him and after raising his arm, softly bites it. When she stabs something into him, he reacts to the pain and wakes up, shocking her. She quickly apologizes, finding it strange that her anesthetic bite did not work. Kuga then asks what she is doing, and she nervously shows him the syringe, explaining that she just wanted to borrow a bit of his blood. Kuga understands but asks if she couldn't at least do it while he is awake. Alicia apologizes, saying she simply couldn't forget the taste she had this morning. Hearing this and recalling their earlier encounter, he wonders whether everything they did meant nothing to her, and if she was just after his blood the entire time. Since that seems to be the case, he rolls up his sleeve and offers her his blood. He tells her that if she just asks, he doesn't mind giving her some as long as it's not enough to kill him. Overjoyed, she hugs him and thanks him. She then injects the syringe and draws some blood from him. Afterward, she squeezes a drop of it onto her finger and upon licking it, finds it delicious, which makes him happy. He asks if she is sure that's enough, to which she replies that it's plenty. He also asks if vampires usually drink blood directly from the body. With a troubled expression, Alicia replies that doing so would be problematic for a number of reasons. Besides, she considers him her special other, not just some underling. Hearing this, Kuga is a bit surprised and doesn't know how to respond. After that, they go to sleep and just like that, morning comes. Later, after getting fresh, they enter the dungeon again, where Alicia slays more humans and counts 26 in total. Considering the 4 from yesterday and the 4 just now, that makes 8 kills in the past 2 days. However, Alicia has apparently hunted 18 people before, bringing the total to 26. With that, the first requirement for becoming an SS rank boss, killing 30 invaders, is almost complete with just 4 more to go. Since they are live today as well, the viewers comment, some praising her good work while others note that today's fight ended faster than yesterday's. They also encourage her in her goal, telling her to do her best since there are 4 more targets to go. Kuga is glad that the viewers are getting used to the whole explorer hunting concept. They are even starting to see normal supportive comments, though there are still plenty of hateful ones. Setting that aside, as they begin to search for their next target, someone calls out to them from behind. When Alicia and Kuga turn around, they spot a party of explorers standing there. The viewers quickly identify them as the party called Monster Slayers. The leader of the party then greets them and introduces their group as Monster Slayers. One viewer comments that they are an A-rank party affiliated with an S-rank party called Evil Slayer. Among the 4 S-rank parties, Evil Slayer ranks 4th and is known for its aggressive monster hunting methods and for toying with its prey. Their affiliate party, Monster Slayers, is no different. The party leader then asks if they are the ones stirring up so much trouble and getting a whole lot of attention. Hearing this, Alicia responds with a bright smile and asks if that's really the case, while viewers warn her to be cautious as these people are very dangerous. Just then one of them suddenly attacks, but Kuga and Alicia swiftly dodge. The party leader sarcastically asks why they would bother dodging that. Alicia turns to Kuga and asks if these guys are really A-rank, to which he confirms. Upon learning this, she realizes why they're so full of energy and considers herself lucky, which confuses Kuga. Alicia explains that she's lucky because now she can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, first, fulfilling the requirement to hunt 30 humans, and second, taking down an A-rank party. She considers this the best bargain she's ever seen. Just as she says this, the party leader leaps forward to attack, which she easily blocks before clicking her tongue in disappointment. The viewers also expected that they wouldn't be able to keep up with Alicia. Although the Monster Slayers are quite strong, the viewers don't really like them and repeatedly warn that they are dangerous, especially the leader. As Alicia deals with the swordsman, the mage suddenly casts a fireball, which she also dodges. She immediately launches a counterattack at the mage using her wings, but the strike is blocked by the party's tank. While she is distracted, the swordsman seizes the opportunity to strike from behind using a skill called Quick Slash. However, it is easily blocked by Kuga, much to the leader's annoyance. This catches Alicia by surprise, and she tells Kuga that she can handle herself, to which he agrees. Still, she's glad to see Kuga finally stepping up after watching from the sidelines this whole time. Now that he has joined the fight, Alicia tells Kuga to handle the swordsman while she takes care of the other 3 in the back. He accepts the task, and the 2 of them reposition themselves for the next phase of the battle. Annoyed, the party leader asks Alicia if she really thinks she can just walk away, then lunges at her, only to be blocked once again by Kuga. Realizing that Kuga will be his opponent, the party leader asks if he actually believes he stands a chance in close combat. This man's name is Shidahara, and his job is Fencer, a class that specializes in high-speed, close combat swordsmanship. Although Kuga's job is hero and all his stats are at A rank, he can't utilize them all simultaneously. On the other hand, Shidahara's stats align perfectly with his role as a fencer, allowing him to use his full potential in combat. Since they are about to fight, Shidahara plans to teach Kuga a lesson and calls him mediocre. He then quickly uses acceleration magic to close the distance between them and launches an attack. As Kuga effortlessly blocks it, Shidahara asks if he finds it amusing that a hero, someone meant to be humanity's savior, has now sided with monsters. This begins to irritate Kuga, while Shidahara continues, saying it's absurd to call someone as foolish as him a hero. After that, Shidahara swings his sword again, this time mocking Kuga by saying this is exactly why his companion abandoned him. Shocked by the remark, Kuga loosens his grip on his sword and it begins to slip from his hand. He silently agrees, believing that without him the Kumazemi party might have become much stronger. But even so, that party was all he had, and now that it's gone, he no longer cares. With that, he tightens his grip and delivers a clean vertical slash, easily eliminating Shidahara. As his party members watch in shock, they too are swiftly taken down by Alicia. With that, the entire party is wiped out and their bodies despawn. The viewers who witness the fight are in awe of how powerful Alicia and Kuga are. Alicia then tells Kuga that he finally did it, to which he agrees. He has indeed killed a man. Even though the defeated will be auto-revived, it was still a death, and the fact that he killed them, even if only temporarily, remains. Not only that, but they will also never be able to enter the dungeon again, meaning he has ended the dungeon lives they spent so long building. But this outcome was inevitable sooner or later, especially since he is, and considers himself to be, Alicia's special other. Alicia then asks how he feels, and he replies that it doesn't feel much different from cutting down monsters. Hearing this, Alicia nods in agreement, saying that's a good sign, though Kuga isn't entirely sure about it. Just then, a system window appears, showing that the job stone is flickering, which means a new job tree has emerged. Alicia happily calls out to Kuga and tells him to drop everything and take a look at what she's received. What she's referring to is that they've completed 2 of the requirements. This makes her extremely happy, and the chat floods with congratulations, though some new viewers ask what the requirement is for, as Kuga forgot to explain it to them. While they are checking the system window, someone suddenly rushes in to attack. Although Kuga and Alicia notice the attacker, they react a moment too late, and despite blocking the strike, Alicia is sent crashing into a boulder. As the attacker rushes past, Kuga appears to recognize her. The attacker turns out to be Yulia, a former member of Kuga's old party. Yulia's attack did no real damage to Alicia, instead it only irritated her. She asks Yulia what kind of greeting that is. In response, Yulia tells her to shut up and calls her a thieving cat who trashed all of their hard work. Alicia, confused, turns to her chat, which quickly informs her that Yulia is from Kuga's old party. Upon learning this, Alicia tries to recall the party's name but only remembers the word Zemi. Yulia corrects her, saying it's Kumazemi, and scolds her for leaving out the most important part. Alicia then says that while she doesn't know the full story, she asks if Yulia wasn't one of the people who kicked Kuga out. When Yulia confirms it, Alicia asks what her problem is then. Kuga recalls that back when he was expelled, Yulia didn't say much and just kept quiet, so he never really knew what she was thinking. Yulia then states that she's not good with words, so she plans to express herself by beating Alicia instead. After saying that, she launches herself forward to attack again, but this time Alicia blocks her effortlessly. As they engage in battle, the viewers are thrilled, with some recognizing Yulia as the muscle-brained saintess. The audience dubs the fight as Vampire versus Gorilla, and finds themselves unsure of whom to root for. Yulia proves to be a major threat, relentlessly spamming magic and unleashing her lightning spells at point-blank range without hesitation. In addition to her magical prowess, she excels in intense hand-to-hand combat, earning her the nickname Miss Gorilla. Her blunt demeanor and striking appearance have made her the most popular member of Kumazemi. Yulia then casts her spell Holy Night and launches an attack on Alicia, who once again blocks it and counters immediately. All of this unfolds while Kuga watches from the sidelines, feeling that the battle is growing far too intense. Even Yulia begins to lose her footing as Alicia continues her attack with ease. Just as Alicia moves in for a finishing blow, she unexpectedly stops and asks Kuga what he is doing. It turns out he has stepped in front of Yulia to block Alicia's strike, surprising both women. He then uses healing magic on Yulia while Alicia silently observes from behind. Overjoyed, Yulia calls out Kuga's name, to which he responds by telling her to leave. Confused, she asks if he's really talking to her, and he confirms it. However, she protests that she isn't done yet, and Kuga agrees. There's no way someone like Yulia would go down so easily, and neither of them has revealed even half of their true strength. But Kuga believes this situation isn't about proving anything through brute force. He explains that ever since he was kicked out of Kumazemi, everything has been spiraling out of control, eventually leading him to end up with this vampire. He apologizes in advance, stating that if Yulia tries to harm Alicia, he won't let it slide. This declaration stuns Yulia into silence. Then to Kuga's confusion, she begins trembling before breaking down in tears, unexpectedly calling Sira an absolute idiot. Still sobbing, she runs away, leaving Kuga even more puzzled. The viewers immediately start blaming Kuga, accusing him of making her cry, which leaves him stunned. He pleads with them to hold on, questioning how he's suddenly the bad guy and wondering aloud if Yulia just called him Sira. While he argues with the viewers, Alicia quietly thanks him for taking her side. Having accomplished what they came for, they end the stream and return to Monster City. Later, Alicia suggests recruiting some minions, and Kuga as always agrees. Still, he finds himself trying to process why Yulia came alone to confront Alicia that day. However, since Kuga isn't the type to overthink, he doesn't dwell on it for long and sends a message to Yulia, asking if she made it back safely. All he receives in return is a curt reply confirming that she did. With that resolved, Kuga refocuses on Alicia's plan to become an SS rank boss. One of the conditions, as Alicia just mentioned, is acquiring minions who themselves must be S-rank bosses. Kuga agrees with the plan but points out the S-rank requirement and asks if defeating one is also part of the path to becoming an SS-rank boss. When Alicia affirms this, Kuga nods and asks if they intend to do something like turning the Minotaur into a minion. Alicia quickly denies this, clarifying that Mino is her friend and she would never turn her into a minion. Kuga understands, so they agree to look for someone else. He then checks the current list of S-rank bosses, which includes Basilisk, Arachne, Werewolf, Minotaur, Slime, Undead, Spirit Fox, and Mech Soldier. Though there are 8 bosses now, there used to be only one, an entity known as Jackie, or as some called it, the Evil Spirit. After Jackie was defeated, the number mysteriously expanded to 8. Since then, whenever a boss is taken down, another rises to replace them, ensuring that there are always 8 S-rank bosses at any given time. Taking down an S-rank boss is also one of the requirements for Alicia to be promoted to S-rank. But for Kuga, who has only ever been A rank, it is completely uncharted territory. Setting that aside, he asks her how she plans to get the minions to follow her. She replies that it usually depends on their free will. In other words, she must mentally make them want to submit to her, which Kuga understands. Alicia then mentions that there is actually another method, prompting Kuga to ask if it involves sucking their blood directly. Alicia confirms this but admits she dislikes doing so. This surprises Kuga, as he never took her for someone with a moral compass. However, Alicia clarifies that her dislike stems from not wanting to drink blood she doesn't like. Kuga is very shocked to hear this, though he doesn't say it aloud. Still, it's obvious since during the battle, Alicia only absorbed blood through her tentacles rather than drinking it herself. Except when it came to Kuga's blood, which means she has a particular preference for his. This makes him wonder if it's because of his blood type is O. He speculates this based on something he once heard about type O blood being more attractive to insects. Setting that aside, he asks her who she plans to target, to which she responds with a giggle, saying she has already made her decision. The Japanese dungeon is divided into two parts. The upper layers, which stretch from the earth up into the sky, and the lower layers, which descend from the earth into the underground, though the difficulty level remains the same. For example, the upper 15th floor and the lower 15th floor have roughly equal difficulty. Due to this unique structure, the Japanese dungeon has earned the nickname Double-Headed Dungeon. Generally, the higher the floor, the larger it tends to be. Additionally, every 10th floor is devoid of monsters, which makes floors like 10, 20, and 30 ideal for camping. Notably, the 10th and 20th floors contain large cities. Within all this, Alicia's hidden room lies on the 43rd underground floor. However, it is currently sealed off due to her long absence, and the rank bosses are located 2 floors above. On top of that, the 49th floor is a special case. It is divided into 3 upper sections and 3 lower sections, each containing one of the 6 SS rank bosses. However, if an SS rank boss is defeated by humans, the position remains vacant, as there appears to be no system in place to replace them, unlike with S rank bosses. With Alicia leading him, Kuga asks where they are headed as they arrive on floor B32, an underground dungeon with rough, rocky walls that stretch endlessly in every direction. The viewers quickly recognize the floor and know who resides here, surprising Kuga with how knowledgeable they are. The viewers reveal that kobolds inhabit this floor, which Alicia confirms. She declares that today they will raid the kobold colony and wipe them out. The plan is to attack the kobolds and turn their entire colony into her minions. As they approach the location, Alicia notices a human girl standing ahead and informs Kuga. She then asks him what they should do, and he replies by asking if they're not supposed to hunt her. Alicia answers that it depends on the opponent. Without good reason, she generally avoids hunting those who show no hostility toward monsters. Although they can't determine from this distance whether the girl is hostile, Alicia believes it's rare to find explorers who aren't these days, or perhaps the reverse, to which Kuga agrees. However, he finds something odd as she is alone and not even using a streaming drone. Though solo explorers are not unheard of, they are quite rare. Just like Yulia yesterday, wandering alone is not recommended, even for those confident in their skills. Thus, it's strange enough that she is alone, but what makes it even more concerning is that she seems distracted. Kuga feels as though she doesn't even know what she is doing. The girl then commands the auto-revive spell to be disabled, prompting Alicia to ask Kuga what she is doing. He replies that it's bad, she might be trying to off herself. While Alicia is confused, the viewers begin to speculate. Since the girl is able to disable her revive spell, they conclude she must be a reviver. They advise a cautious approach to the situation, stating it would be a shame to lose such a valuable reviver. Kuga agrees, as only a reviver can disable their own revive spell. Typically, before entering a dungeon, explorers pay a fee to a revive insurance company, where a reviver casts the revive spell on them. This ensures automatic resurrection upon death, allowing them to explore without significant risk. Additionally, entering a dungeon requires explorers to pass a special checkpoint where the presence of the revive spell is verified. Therefore, her status as a reviver is confirmed, and that is an extremely rare job. The viewers point out that nearly all revivers are overwhelmed with work outside the dungeon, contracted by insurance companies. So seeing one inside a dungeon is also very rare. Alicia now understands the situation and thanks her viewers for the explanation. She then turns to Kuga and tells him they have to do something, to which he asks what she means. She replies that since the girl has such a valuable class, she suggests making her a minion. They approach the girl with Alicia calling out and telling her not to act so hastily. The viewers are surprised by Alicia's decisiveness, while the girl is shocked to see her. Terrified, the girl starts running away, much to Alicia's dismay. Alicia then uses her tentacles to restrain the girl, which creates a rather weird impression. Noticing this, Kuga tries to stop Alicia, but for some reason she starts drooling and says she can't help but want to hunt the girl after seeing her. Hearing this, Kuga wonders aloud if Alicia is some kind of bear or something. He then apologizes to the viewers, saying he's going to end the stream for now. Some viewers ask why, while others suggest that things might be getting a bit too sensitive. With that, the stream ends. Meanwhile, the girl tells them not to stop her, saying she is ending it here. She requests to be killed quickly with the sword. But instead, Alicia asks why she wants to die so badly. Although she isn't particularly interested, Alicia continues and asks, since the girl is going to die anyway, why not indulge in some pleasure before doing so? As a tentacle brushes against the girl's face, she nervously asks what Alicia means. Then, completely out of nowhere, Alicia asks her if she likes dogs. The girl hesitantly replies that she does like them quite a bit. Hearing this, Alicia lets her go and, saying it's great, grabs her hand and starts pulling her somewhere she refers to as dog paradise. On the way, the girl introduces herself as Kushina. Upon learning this, Alicia greets her and asks if she knows who they are. Kushina apologizes, saying she doesn't know much about them and asks if they are perhaps famous streamers. Alicia replies that they are not and assures her it's fine if she doesn't recognize them. She adds that she isn't even sure whether they are famous or not, prompting a viewer to comment that they are actually quite well known. The viewer explains that at the moment, Kuga and Alicia are the hottest topic in terms of popularity. Alicia reads the comment and is surprised, while Kushina cannot actually see the streaming window. Setting that aside, Alicia decides to continue on their way to the dog paradise. Hearing this, Kushina asks what she means. In response, Alicia tells her to wait and see, assuring her that she will understand. They go to the first place, but finding it unappealing, they move on to the second, which also fails to meet Alicia's expectations. After that, they visit the third location, which comes close but still falls short. Eventually, they arrive at the fourth place, which turns out to be exactly what Alicia is looking for. She finds the kobolds there very pretty and asks Kuga if he also feels that this place gives off a nice vibe. He replies, agreeing that the atmosphere is indeed calming and pleasant. With that, Alicia decides to settle on this location. Kushina then asks if this might be a kobold colony, noting the presence of guards. Alicia confirms this, which shocks Kushina as she realizes this is what Alicia meant by dog paradise. Alicia reaffirms it, explaining that here she can pet and cuddle kobolds, so she asks Kushina if she's happy. As they approach, a kobold guard notices them and appears startled. At every entrance of the mansion, kobold guards are stationed, and depending on the type of colony, their appearance varies. This is why Alicia specifically chooses the Japanese-style colony, because the kobolds here resemble Shiba Inus. Even Kushina, who had been skeptical earlier, finds herself unable to resist the urge to pet them. As she reaches out to do so, the kobolds rush toward her. However, Kuga quickly steps in and blocks them. As it turns out, they are not as friendly as they seemed and were actually charging in to bite her, something Kuga intercepts with his arm. Alicia praises Kuga for his quick reaction and warns Kushina that kobolds can be quite fierce. While Kushina apologizes to Kuga, Alicia explains that a kobold's weak spot is its throat. If stroked there, they calm down. Just as Alicia says, the kobolds immediately settle down the moment she strokes their throats. With the situation under control, Alicia suggests they go inside, to which Kuga agrees. Kushina, however, nervously begins to speak, apologizing for getting Kuga hurt while trying to protect her. He responds that it's fine and tells her not to worry about it. Still, she insists it's not fine and asks if she can help him. When he agrees, she casts a healing spell on him that instantly heals all his wounds. Surprised, he compliments her, saying her healing is impressive. Kushina shyly asks if he means it, admitting it's her first time using healing magic, as she usually relies on auto-revival. Kuga, taken aback by this, listens as Kushina assures him he should be fine now. He thanks her and she responds that it's nothing, she should be the one thanking him. As their conversation ends, Kushina realizes she is standing too close and quickly steps back, saying they should get going and asking if Alicia will be okay. Kuga assures her that Alicia will be just fine, and right on cue, Alicia calls out, asking why they're taking so long. She remarks that they're too slow, as she has already tamed all the kobolds in the meantime. This surprises not only Kuga and Kushina but also the viewers. One of them comments that the stream has unexpectedly turned into a simple healing session, prompting Kuga to apologize. Later, while Kushina plays with the kobolds and Alicia chats with one of them, Kuga stands off to the side, quietly observing his surroundings. He then asks Kushina if he may ask her something, and she grants permission. He wants to know why she undid her revival magic, considering that, from what he has heard, healers are rare and typically have a secure future. Kushina replies that this is exactly why she did it. As her statement confuses Kuga, she continues explaining that she took the safe route and joined Relive Insurance. The bonuses are nice with no overtime or pressure, a solid, reliable job. But because of that, she got revived the day before yesterday and then again yesterday. Though she took a break today, she will probably be back at it tomorrow. Just revival after revival, that is how her life has been. Though she understands this is for someone else's sake, she finds living for others kind of exhausting. She then realizes why Kuga asked and quickly clarifies that she wasn't planning on offing herself. She explains that she was just in a strange mood and craved some thrill and excitement. Learning this, Kuga somewhat understands her feelings. The automatic resurrection magic is groundbreaking as it allows people to enter dungeons without fear. The risk has dropped and dungeon exploration has turned into a full-on form of entertainment. That is why jobs like resurrectionists even exist. But after listening to Kushina, Kuga realizes that maybe it comes with its own kind of curse. Alicia then jumps into the conversation out of nowhere and suggests that Kushina become her minion. This confuses Kushina and she asks Alicia what she means by that. Thinking she is unaware, Kuga informs her that Alicia is a monster. Though shocked, Kushina kind of realizes it too since she notices the wings. But since Kuga doesn't have any, she asks about him, to which he informs her that he is human. This shocks her even more, and after a brief pause, she apologizes, saying she can't. Shocked, Kuga asks her why not, and she tells him that her mom would kill her if she became a monster's minion. While Alicia understands and gives up, Kuga realizes how flawed her logic is but decides to keep it to himself. Setting that aside, Kushina expresses how surprised she is to see people doing such reckless things. Thinking she's talking about Alicia, Kuga nods in agreement, saying they really do. But Alicia quickly clarifies that Kushina is talking about him, which shocks him. Seeing their unusual interaction, Kushina thinks that maybe she should try breaking out of her shell a little too. Hearing this, Alicia again offers to make Kushina her minion. But she again refuses, saying her mom would kill her. Alicia understands once more and doesn't press further, so while she manages to make the Kobolds her minions, she has failed to do the same with Kushina. After parting ways with Kushina and clearing out the Kobolds on the dungeon's third floor, Alicia and Kuga head back to the Monster City. They can leave the Monster City from anywhere, but they must enter it from the same spot. Thus, Kuga and Alicia have to walk all the way back every time. On their way, Alicia again stops at the fruit stall and picks up a few apples, for which Kuga wants to pay. When Alicia says it's fine, Kuga insists, revealing that thanks to their stream he has been earning a decent amount. As Alicia appears confused, Kuga clarifies that he is making a lot of money now, which shocks her. He explains that the more viewers one has, the more they earn. Since he wouldn't have nearly as many viewers without her, he asks her to accept the money. Understanding his desire, Alicia accepts and he asks if she can use MayPay, which is how people get paid from streaming. When the money runs out, they'll need to visit a human city to withdraw more. However, judging from her confused reaction, Kuga quickly realizes that they can't withdraw money here. Setting that aside, he asks her about what she mentioned earlier, getting a little bit of money every day and how it actually works. Alicia then takes a 1,000 yen Japanese note from her pocket and explains that every day 5 of these simply appear in her pocket. Kuga is surprised to learn that she receives 5,000 yen per day and realizes that he'll need to return to the human city at some point. As he thanks her for the explanation, the vendor calls out to get his attention. Realizing he forgot to pay, he quickly apologizes and says he will do so now. However, the vendor clarifies that what he meant is that Kuga can use MayPay here. While Kuga and Alicia are both confused, the vendor reiterates that MayPay is accepted, which shocks them. After paying the vendor, they continue on their way, but Alicia remains surprised, as she didn't know something like that was possible. It feels almost magical to her. This makes her want to check the survival manual later, and hearing that, Kuga is surprised to learn such a thing actually exists for monsters. Setting that aside, he informs Alicia that compared to her, he burns through energy much faster, so he needs to eat more, especially iron, which his body requires. Though Alicia doesn't quite understand what he means by iron, she still takes him to another food stall. As Kuga begins taking food, Alicia is shocked by how much food he needs. Afterward, he asks her what she was talking about with the Kobolds. She shows him a ring and explains that she gave it to them so they can call her if they ever need help. Learning this, he asks if it's like a summoning device, to which Alicia confirms. Kuga then asks if that means the Kobolds can summon her at any time, and again Alicia confirms it. Hearing this, Kuga wonders whether that makes Alicia the one becoming their minion. Noticing his reaction, Alicia asks if he's thinking she got won over by their fluffiness and became their servant. Though Kuga tries to deny it, his expression gives him away, confirming her suspicion. Alicia agrees that fluffiness is supreme, but she clarifies that it wasn't the only reason. She then explains that the ring can summon them as well, and as she demonstrates this, it actually worked, summoning a kobold. Alicia quickly apologizes to the kobold, explaining that she was just testing whether the summoning worked. The kobold responds with a woof as it cannot speak, though it clearly understands her. She informs Kuga that this kobold is the boss of that colony, and when she asks for its name, the kobold replies with a series of barks. After a brief pause, she announces that the kobold's name is Cobold. Hearing this, Kuga silently suspects that she just made it up on the spot. Since the test is complete, Alicia uses the summoning magic to send the kobold back, saying she'll see it later. From what he has seen, Kuga believes that being able to summon them at any time is incredibly useful. Though Alicia agrees, she also informs him that there's a cooldown period before she can summon again. Learning this, Kuga realizes it's not something she can do endlessly. Alicia confirms this and with a smile tells him that they have another role to play. Judging from her expression, Kuga can tell she is pleased, though he won't find out what that role is until later. Later, at Alicia's temporary home, she asks Kuga if other people also do streaming, to which he replies affirmatively. Hearing this, she explains that lately she has been getting curious about other people's streams. She then asks if they can watch other streamers, to which he replies that they can and opens the streaming window. As Alicia excitedly says she wants to watch them, Kuga shows her the window where while scrolling she finds a live stream. That stream happens to be from Kumazemi, shocking both Kuga and Alicia as they see Yulia on screen. Seeing her, Alicia asks if this is the party he was kicked out of, to which Kuga confirms. This is the first time Kuga is watching a Kumazemi stream since he left, and the biggest change is the presence of a new member. Seeing this, Kuga begins to wonder what is going on. Alicia then asks if they are really his former teammates. Though Kuga confirms, he continues staring at the screen with a sense of doubt. Alicia then points out that they seem completely lifeless. Her observation is spot on and Kuga sees it too. At the moment, Sira is fighting two skeletons. As he attacks one, the other strikes from behind and he barely manages to block it. These two skeletons are rank monsters called twin skeletons. Knowing Sira will need help, Yulia calls out to the new party member Sion and suggests that she take the front as usual. However, Sion, whose job is priest, says that's a bad move, which annoys Yulia. Sion then reminds her that, according to the standard strategy, they need to protect the healer, which is him. Although Yulia understands this fundamental rule, she still struggles to accept it. Just then, Sira gets injured and Sion quickly casts healing magic to heal him. The viewers, having watched the whole exchange, praise Sion, saying his restoration speed is insane. This is expected since he is the disciple of the S-rank party Lujan. However, they are not as kind to Sira, saying he is dragging the team down. Unable to hold back any longer, Yulia uses her Holy Night magic to attack a skeleton from a distance, but the skeleton easily dodges the spell. Seeing this, Sion repeats that everything is fine, which only makes Yulia more annoyed. Then the party's enchanter Makari calls out to her, and from her expression, Yulia understands that she is trying to tell her to stay calm. Sion then informs Makari that her enchantment is wearing off and asks her to refresh it. Upon hearing this, Makari decides to reapply it to Sira at the front first. However, Sion shuts her idea down, calling it a dumb move. He tells them to stick to the strategy and prioritize protecting the healer him first. The viewers again praise Sion for remaining composed and criticize the Kumazemi party, saying that a group running purely on vibes is bound to struggle. With a smug expression, Sion tells his viewers not to belittle his new party members. He then turns to Makari and Yulia and says that as long as they continue growing little by little, they'll be okay. One viewer points out that all Sion does is insult his party members by calling their ideas stupid, but Sion's fans quickly shut him down, claiming that Sion isn't insulting but guiding them and that they should be grateful he even joined the party. Setting that aside, Makari accepts Sion's directives while Sira continues to grow more annoyed. Meanwhile, Kuga and Alicia watch everything unfold on the stream. She notes that Yulia appears to be much weaker here than when she fought her, and Kuga agrees. Alicia then asks if they can leave a comment on the stream. As Kuga replies that they can, Alicia says she wants to cheer them on, though Kuga wonders why he doesn't say it out loud. Alicia asks how she can comment, and Kuga explains and shows her that she can either send a voice message or type it out and have it read aloud. While explaining this to her, Kuga completely forgets something important. Understanding Kuga's explanation, Alicia types it out and leaves a comment. What Kuga forgot is that the sender's name appears with the comment. In this case, what Alicia typed is sent under Kuga's name. Seeing this, Kuga is shocked to realize the mistake he has made. He has just outed himself. Not only that, but Sion, Makari, and Yulia also heard the comment and are visibly stunned. The viewers recognize him too, though the newer ones do not. They ask if he is the guy who got kicked out. One viewer even calls him a weirdo for streaming with a monster. Seeing all of this unfold, Yulia turns to Makari and apologizes, saying she just can't take it anymore. Just then, Sira shouts and charges toward the skeletons, shocking the girls. He launches a powerful slash attack at them, yelling for them not to mess with him. The attack lands and obliterates the skeletons, which makes Alicia a little sad, though the result is ultimately positive thanks to her enthusiastic cheering. Although Sira suddenly switches to a high-risk, aggressive strategy and manages to defeat the skeletons, the struggle they just faced is unlike anything Kuga has ever seen Kumazemi go through. It all started back in the third year of high school when seats were assigned mechanically based on alphabetical order. Kuga was placed in the second row from the right near the back, and the seat next to his was assigned to Sira. Kuga already knew him, as he had stood out a lot during high school because of his blonde hair, which drew attention from everyone. Although dyed hair was against the school rules due to his exceptional grades, athletic ability, and talent for charming the teachers, he was let off with only a verbal warning. It was practically an unofficial exception, and now sitting next to that same Sira, Kuga couldn't help but feel a bit nervous. This became evident the first time Sira greeted him when Kuga nervously replied. Kuga believed that Sira was what people would call a social butterfly. He was able to interact with Kuga easily and asked him to do things like grab items from the store. From their very first interaction, Sira treated Kuga as though they were already close friends. Kuga began to believe that maybe being around someone like Sira had started to change his outlook a little. There were times when Sira wouldn't even go to the bathroom without Kuga, and the two also walked home together every day. Though Sira had plenty of friends, he spent most of his time with Kuga. Just like that, the year flew by in the blink of an eye, and eventually, after finishing high school, the two went down separate paths. Kuga assumed this was the end of his connection with Sira. But one day, just before graduation, Kuga received an unexpected invite from Sira into a group chat. It was a group of about 10 students, basically all the standout kids from their class. For Kuga, the only person he knew in the chat was Sira, which was why he felt completely out of place. But to his surprise, most of the members were surprisingly kind and welcoming. Among the members were Yulia and Makari. Yulia had been known as one of the class beauties, so Kuga was surprised to see her there, especially since she had given off an unapproachable vibe. Apparently, she and Makari were close friends, which was why she had joined. To the others, the group was probably just one of many social circles they belonged to, but to Kuga, it was special. One day, Sira asked in the group chat if anyone was interested in dungeon streaming, as he planned on becoming a famous streamer. Though Kuga hesitated for a moment, he agreed, wanting to support Sira. As soon as Kuga said he was in, Yulia surprisingly followed, and then Makari joined too, as she couldn't leave Yulia as the only girl. Once they actually started streaming dungeon runs, Kuga realized he was having fun. He couldn't explain why, but it simply didn't feel like a chore to him. Not only that, but he also got to see new sides of Yulia and Makari. Sira then suggested they pick an actual channel name soon, to which Makari agreed. Thus, they began brainstorming what kind of name might work. Makari proposed taking one character from everyone's name, which Sira found cute and immediately approved. With that, Sira took Yu from Yulia, Ku from Kuga, Mi from Makari, and Si from himself. He then asked if they could mesh those into something that worked, but none of them responded, as they had been expecting him to come up with it. Sira then turned to Kuga for ideas, and after giving it some thought, Kuga suggested Kumazemi. Although they had to bend the U a bit and throw in a voice sound, Sira liked the name. He asked Yulia if she was okay with it, and she replied that since it was Kuga's idea, she would accept it. Just like that, the channel's name was chosen on a whim. As they began consistently streaming, Sira's looks and charms started to stand out. Makari brought the charisma and flirt appeal, while Yulia's cool beauty paired with her unexpected personality traits won hearts. With all of this, the viewer count grew slowly but steadily. What had once started as a half-joke about becoming famous streamers slowly became a tangible goal. Because of that, Kuga didn't want the dream to end, so he made it his purpose and worked hard behind the scenes. He trained to improve his basic physical abilities and studied the latest combat structure theory, which was cutting edge at the time. Not only that, but he also threw himself into weapon training. For the first time in his life, he fully committed to something. Sure, there were moments when the grind felt overwhelming, but he kept going, and what drove him was the desire to make sure no one ever had to retire. That purpose took center stage during Kumazemi's first B-rank monster fight, which was against an orc. Though the fight was brutal, they finally managed to corner it. That's when the orc, in a last act of desperation, hurled its axe with full force. Sira, who had been fighting at close range, misjudged the distance and was about to be taken down by the orc's sudden move. But in an instant, Kuga, whose class was still warrior, threw himself in front to shield Sira. In that moment, everyone thought Kuga had died, which was understandable given how deep the wound in his abdomen was. To make matters even worse, Kumazemi's one fatal flaw was that they had no healer. Deep down, they all knew none of them had the aptitude for healing, but no one ever even considered changing members. That unspoken bond was what led to disaster in that critical moment. But just then something happened. Kuga's job stone began to glow while he lay collapsed. Fortunately, he survived thanks to his job changing from warrior to hero, and the first thing he did was heal himself. Everyone hugged him with tears in their eyes. Not only had Kuga survived, but Kumazemi had finally gotten a healer. Though that wasn't particularly what the hero class was meant for, if it allowed him to protect his team, Kuga was happy. However, it later turned out that what Kumazemi had gained was a half-baked healer, eventually becoming the very thing that held them back, or at least that's what Kuga believed. Later on their way back, Alicia notices that Kuga is unusually quiet and lost in thought. She asks him what is wrong, pointing out that he looks really worried about something. Averting his gaze, he replies that it is nothing. With that response, Alicia decides not to press further and continues walking, telling him to get it together. Viewers who can read Kuga's expression tell him he got this, while another encourages him, which makes him feel a bit awkward. As they continue, Alicia and Kuga notice someone familiar. It turns out to be Minochan the Minotaur, who is Alicia's friend. Recognizing her, viewers wonder if they will collab with Minochan. Alicia calls out to her, but for some reason Minochan flinches as if she is scared of something. She turns and then realizes it is Alicia and begins calming down, though she still trembles. Noticing the reaction, Alicia asks what is wrong and why she is so jumpy. Minochan tries to speak but then decides not to and says it is nothing. However, Alicia can tell from her reaction that she is hiding something. She is right, as Minochan panics and insists that she is not hiding anything. She is so oblivious that even Kuga and the viewers can tell she is hiding something. Among those viewers, one finds Minochan's reactions particularly cute. Alicia asks Minochan not to shut them down, reminding her that they are her friends so she can tell them. Hearing this, Minochan becomes very touched as tears start to fall. Since that is the case, she agrees and decides to tell them everything. The viewers are curious about what is causing Minochan so much trouble. She then meekly explains that she actually thinks she is being stalked. Kuga and the viewers are shocked to learn this and feel sorry for her. They wonder who could target such a delicate girl and find it completely unforgivable. Then one of the viewers suggests Kuga go and get the man, which takes him off guard. Alicia, also shocked to learn Minochan's situation, finds it unforgivable as well, but she assures Minochan not to worry, saying she and Kuga will drive the stalker off. This makes Minochan really happy and she asks Alicia if they really will. Alicia replies that of course they will, with Kuga smiling in agreement. Minochan expresses how glad she is for their help because now she can finally go home. She then starts explaining the situation in more depth, saying that she began sensing something creepy following her a few days ago and that today she got so scared she ran to the busiest street she could find. Hearing this, Kuga wonders if it would not be better for her to smash the stalker with her giant axe. Though that is what Kuga thinks, none of the viewers suggest it. They pity her and find the stalker disgusting, wishing him to die 1,000 deaths. Before long, they reach Minochan's home, which looks very similar to Alicia's temporary home but 3 times larger. Minochan is really glad they returned quickly because she was so scared and ran away so fast that she even forgot to water the plants. And because of this, she is very worried since she has been raising them carefully, especially because these vegetables can wilt if she misses even a single day of watering. Seeing this side of her, the viewers wonder who in their right mind would ever make her an S-rank boss, as there is no way they could bring themselves to harm her. One viewer even declares that if any dungeon streamer tries to hurt Mino, they will root for her without question. Happy to see this comment, Alicia feels glad that the viewers are finally beginning to understand what Mino is truly like. Just then, all 3 of them sense a sharp presence lurking nearby. Noticing Mino trembling in fear, Alicia asks if this is the one who has been stalking her. Shaking profusely, Mino confirms that this is the same presence she felt before, only far stronger this time. Since that is the case, Alicia believes the stalker must be close and suggests searching outside the garden first. Because it is so frightening for Mino, Alicia tells her to stay close, assuring her that she will be safer with them than alone. As they step outside the garden, they notice someone standing at the entrance. It turns out to be a werewolf whose massive size shocks the viewers, especially after some of them recognize him as the S-rank boss werewolf recently added as a replacement for the salamander. When other viewers also confirm this, Alicia asks if it is true and checks the current S-rank boss listing, where it is indeed confirmed. Setting that aside, Alicia calls out to the werewolf, demanding to know what he wants with Mino. The werewolf bluntly replies that he has only been watching over Mino to ensure no one harms her. Confused by this, Alicia presses further, asking if that is really the case. The werewolf begins trembling as he replies, insisting that only he is worthy of protecting Mino. Hearing this, Mino feels completely creeped out and terrified. She then demands to know what is wrong with him, pointing out that she does not even know who he is. The werewolf misinterprets her disgusted reaction as shyness and finds it cute. Seeing this disturbing reaction, the viewers are convinced that this figure is the very definition of a stalker and suggest that Mino should run away immediately. Even Kuga and Alicia are shocked by the werewolf's unsettling response. Then out of nowhere, the werewolf starts asking Mino why without clarifying what he means. Confused, she demands an explanation and he asks why she would choose to be with humans. He adds that if she mingles with humans, she will disgrace her title as an S-rank and lose her pure beauty. Enraged by his remark, Mino loudly tells the werewolf not to insult her friends. This outburst greatly surprises Alicia, as it shows that Mino acknowledges both her and Kuga as friends. Even after this strong declaration, the werewolf tries to act composed, saying it is fine. He then pities her, claiming she is too gentle and must have been brainwashed by Kuga and Alicia, but Mino firmly denies this to his face. Ignoring her, he begins telling the story of how it all started when he met her at a flower shop and fell in love at first sight. This obsessive tale irritates the viewers, but for a while, both they and the others have no choice but to listen to him ramble about his one-sided love. Eventually, after ranting for some time, the werewolf decides to withdraw for the day, declaring that they will meet again. However, Mino bluntly replies that they will not and calls him a creep, which visibly shocks him. Without another word, a teleportation circle appears beneath the werewolf and he vanishes, leaving everyone unsettled. Then out of nowhere, Alicia announces that she has made a decision. When Kuga asks what it is, she declares that they are going to make the werewolf her minion. Kuga, however, dislikes the idea and wonders if she is truly serious even after hearing everything the werewolf just said.